Greetings, my friends, and welcome back. It's simply a delight to have you with us every day. I tell you that each day, and I mean it more than you can possibly know. Absolutely love being here with you each and every day and having a chance to chat about all these things and hopefully change some of them. Telephone number if you want to be on the program. My name, Rush Limbaugh, by the way. Most listened to radio talk show in the country. 800-282-2882. The email address, lrushbaugh@eibnet.com. Now, we have DirecTV here at our EIB broadcast complex, and I was under the impression that we had ordered all the sports packages, a Sunday ticket, MLB extra innings. Hell, you know what I could have done? I could have called on, I've got it on Apple TV, but I don't know if I've upgraded. I don't have time to do it now. Anyway, I dialed in. I want to look at this baseball game. I want to tell you what it looks like here with no fans in there in Baltimore. And it says that we don't have it. So we are feverishly now at, I'm sure we've got it over there in the T office, absolutely. But how are we going to get that from over there to over here? I can give you the... No, I can't. Just come in here and get the phone number. You can talk and call them up. All right. Anyway, hope to get some of this game seen here prior to the conclusion of the program today. Now, Mrs. Clinton has come out of the hovel and spoken about what's going on in Baltimore today. And she probably knows it, but the media probably has forgotten it. Oh, it's free on MLB. What channel is MLB? Somebody shoot me the DirecTV. I think it's 218. Let me try that. Hang on just a second, folks. This will not be long, and I have not distracted myself. Nope, it's going to be in the 600s. I know it's going to be 606. Let's try 605 just to get there, and I'll turn the guide button on and find. I never watch these channels. So let me... get it here, 605. Okay, now turn the guide on. Just stick with me on this, folks. Just stick with me. MLB. That's not... 213. Let me try... No, I didn't try 213. I'll try 213 now. See what that show is. There it is. Voila. Got it. Okay, didn't know it was free on MLB. And 3-2. There it is. You don't need to call them, Brian. We found it. Nobody in the stands. Not a single person in the stands. I have never in my life seen, I cannot believe what a cave this is. You know, I don't want to repeat the first half hour of the program. If you missed it, I really would like you to hear it. The first half hour of this program is really timely today. It was poignant. And I don't often say this, but I think everybody should hear this. First half hour. We'll have it at rushlimbaugh.com. It may already be up, for that matter. But I remember it was a couple of seasons ago when Philadelphia canceled a Sunday night game just because of snow in the weather forecast. And I just said, we are wussifying ourselves. We are just, we're caving to the wusses everywhere you look. In this culture, and this is another classic example. They can't even confidently throw a baseball game in Baltimore. They don't even want to take the chance. And I can imagine some of you, Rush, you do not realize this is the only sensible thing. See, it's that attitude that I reject. It's not the only thing they can do. At some point, you have to stand up and say you're not going to put up with this. At some point, the bad actors in society do not get the sympathy. At some point, we have to stop justifying all this bad behavior. We have to stop explaining it. We have to stop telling ourselves we are responsible for it. And that we must pay the price for it. This is all absurd. This is not going to lead to anything good. This is all part of the unraveling of the backbone of this country. The backbone, the spine, the foundation is clearly under assault, and it really, really bothers me. And it's then you hear Obama come out and he said, well, the reason we're in trouble in Baltimore is the Republicans refuse to fund urban communities. But it's absolutely a lie. You can't find a Republican anywhere near Baltimore. The Democrats have been able to spend whatever money they want to the tune of $22 trillion that we do not have, by the way, on eradicating all the problems that they and their policies create. And then the goal of these people to run around blame it on the Republicans. And that's what Hillary did today. You know, Obama, though, before we get to Hillary, one quick other story about Obama. From Breitbart, and the headline, Obama on Baltimore, I've seen this movie too many times. President Obama shared his frustrations about poverty-stricken urban neighborhoods during a radio interview. This morning, he said, I've seen this movie too many times before, said the former community organizer. The problem, as Obama explained it, is that Americans only worry about poor neighborhoods when there is a crisis, failing to engage with their concerns and difficulties over time. He said people have a tendency, once the fires are out, to go back and focus on whatever reality TV thing is going on. We got to make sure that we don't brush this aside after the crisis has passed, which is exactly why it is important for the police to stand down enough for there to be fires, and why it's important to be constantly ginning up new crises. It's exactly why Obama goes in the aftermath and blames the cops for all these problems, comes up with new policing techniques that he mandates on these cities. He blackmails you. You want to keep getting federal money? Then you're going to have to reorganize your police force. And reorganizing the police force means it's basically going to stand down. It's going to start exercising restraint, because the police force is going to admit and acknowledge, or at least behave, under the premise that it is the problem. I'm sorry, folks, it doesn't work for me. Liberal Democrats running around trying to blame all this on militarized cops, aggressive cops. Even in towns run by liberal Democrats, when there's not a race component, they do it. And the bottom line is, people have cared to the tune of $22 trillion about poor neighborhoods. It is outrageous for him to say that the American people don't worry about it. It's not the American people at fault here. The American people are not responsible for what happened in Baltimore. The people that run that city are. The political party policies that have engaged that city are what's at fault here. You can directly tie the mess that is these Democrat cities to Democrat Party politics and policies. So you blame Republicans, you blame the cops, you blame everything, and then you have the gall, after all of that, to run around and tell the people of this country that the real problem is they're heartless, that they don't care, that they're selfish, and once the crisis is over, they go back to watching TMZ or whatever. That's where your average Democrat voter is every day anyway. Otherwise known as the low information crowd. So this is how the plot always goes. The left tells black kids that they're victims. They bombard them with all this violent music, violent TV, violent movies. They make sure that alcohol and drugs are all over the place. Then they gin up a news event. And they even pay some people to come in and riot. So do you realize it has been discovered that the organizers of the riots on Twitter are the same people that organized the riots in Ferguson? A lot of this stuff in Baltimore is not even homegrown. A lot of this is bought and paid for by donors to the Democrat Party for the express purpose of creating this chaos, so that Obama can come along and blame Republicans, and then blame the American people for heartlessness and not caring enough, and then demanding even more money for it. And this cycle has been repeated for 50 years, and can somebody tell me, show me where it's gotten any better anywhere? That's the galling thing. It doesn't get any better. It gets worse. Yes, the problem is, Obama explained, that the American people only worry about poor neighborhoods when there's a crisis. Right, okay, so now Mrs. Clinton gets in gear. It's time for Mrs. Clinton to pop out and start speaking about this, and she did it, and it was so classic. She came out, some official-looking background, some charity icon logo in the background, some blue banner behind her. And she's speaking quietly, making sure that she doesn't go into her Hillary Nurse Ratched rant. And she's detailing all of the problems. And she's complaining about all of the bad things that keep happening and are going on without any acknowledgement that it all happens when she and her party are in power. Here she is. This was in New York City at Columbia University during the 18th annual General Dinkins Leadership and Public Policy Forum. And here's the first. We have 3 of her, and in Slick Willie, yep, got 4 total here. Here's the first of Hillary.
From Ferguson to Staten Island to Baltimore, the patterns have become unmistakable and undeniable. And now, Freddie Gray, his spine nearly severed while in police custody. Not only as a mother and a grandmother, but as a citizen, a human being, my heart breaks for these young men and their families.
Yeah, we can hear that. Like
we
Benghazi.
have to come to terms with some hard truths about race and justice in America.
Really? For how many years have people like you been telling us this? That we need to come to terms with some hard truths about race and justice. And my whole life I've been hearing it from people like you, Mrs. Clinton, that we do not address this. I had to listen to Eric Holder say that we are cowards about race. Nobody's willing to discuss it. Flat out BS. Anybody tries to honestly discuss it, and they are immediately tarred and feathered as racists and bigots, and they are attacked until they're destroyed. But what difference does it make anyway by now? It's been 50 years. What difference does it make now? Huh? Just like Benghazi. As a citizen, as a human being, my heart breaks for these young men and their families. I assume just like it broke for the men and their families of Benghazi. We have to come to terms with some hard truths about race and justice in America. Have you not, for your whole life, been working on this? And your husband, and every other liberal Democrat, and every civil rights activist, could somebody show me some progress after 50 years? Instead of every city you run deteriorating into dilapidation, and you come along, blame Republicans for it, and say that nobody cares enough. And to say this almost 6.5 years into the presidency of the first African-American president? Again, I'm going to tell you, if I were people of Baltimore, if I were African-American, and I remember back to 2008 and I voted for Obama, this is the last thing I thought would be happening to where I live. I thought finally electing the first African-American would mean big change where I live. But I'm faced with the reality that where I live, it's just getting worse. And I don't know how long I'm going to fall for this idea that it's the Republicans are responsible for my plight when I can't find any around here. Here's the next Mrs. Clinton bite.
There is something profoundly wrong when African American men are still far more likely to be stopped and searched by police. There is something wrong when a third of all black men face the prospect of prison during their lifetimes. There is something wrong when more than 1 out of every 3 young black men in Baltimore cannot find a job.
There's something wrong in America? Well, who the hell has been running it for the past 6.5 years? Whose policies have been in place for the last 50 years dealing with this? And here we go again. Something profoundly wrong when African-American men are still far more likely to be stopped and searched by cops. Who's running the show here, Mrs. Clinton? What party runs Baltimore? What party runs any of these places where this stuff is happening? There's something wrong with a third. You've been telling us there's something wrong for 50 years. Is it not time to fix it? Rather than to keep whining about it? You see, that's the thing. That's the frustrating thing. These people who don't do a diddly thing to fix this, they're the ones that get all the credit just for talking about it. All of these compassionate, big-hearted Democrats, they get all the credit. And all they do is talk about it. That's why I've told you that liberalism is the easiest choice you can make. It's a gutless choice. This is all you have to do to be a good liberal. You don't have to fix a thing. You don't have to solve anything. All you have to do is be able to go out, get on TV and talk about it, make people think you really care, or make them think that you're really upset by it, or make them think you're really frustrated, but that you can. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do one thing to fix it. You just have to acknowledge that you know how bad life is for them. Somehow. That's all you have to do. And you get all the credit for caring, and people will vote for you, even though you don't do diddly squat ever to fix it, because that's really not what is desired. Must take a brief break. Hate to interrupt myself on this roll. Oh, somebody just hit a home run and nobody was there to see it. Here's the next Hillary Clinton soundbite from the General Dinkins Leadership and Public Policy Forum today.
Taxpayers are paying about $80 billion a year to keep so many people in prison.
Oh, man.
The price of incarcerating a single inmate is often more than $30,000 per year and up to $60,000 in some states. It's time to change our approach. It's time to end the era of mass incarceration.
Okay, it is. Well, let's go back to September. No. Let's go back to, well, it is September 24th of last year. This is Bill Clinton talking about what he did when he was president that Mrs. Clinton has just now thrown under the bus.
It's one of the reasons it's so important that police officers be in a model that favors community policing. I worked hard to put more than 100,000 police on the street, and the crime rate went way down.
That's right. You know, I have 100,000 new cops. I put them on the streets out there. I had more cops running around than anybody ever had.
It never got up to 100,000, but nevertheless, her husband, in order to deal with an out-of-control crime rate, put more cops on the street, and that resulted in more people being arrested. Mrs. Clinton wants to let them loose now. What's the solution? See, the insinuation is that they're there, but they haven't done anything. They've just been put behind bars because they're African Americans. This despicable, racist country is putting black people behind bars, and they haven't done anything. That's what she is implying. That's what she wants the audience to hear. How many years they've been saying that? How many years have Democrats been running around complaining about this? Who are the sheriffs in these towns? Who are the judges? Who are the juries? Who the hell is doing this? This is classic. This is what I was just talking about. She's saying this for consumption. She wants the African Americans, yeah, man, to think that they are being looked out for by her. That this is going to change. Mrs. Clinton is on the case. If she gets elected, this is going to stop. $80 billion a year to keep so many people in prison. How about $22 trillion since 1994 in welfare transfer payments? How about $17,000 to $20,000 per student per year in the public school system? And the end result is that 16 to 20% of your high school graduates in your average liberal school system cannot read. Or can. Only 16 to 20% can read at an 8th grade level. What does it say? With all the money that liberal Democrats are spending on the public school system, and half of the graduates can't read their diplomas. You go to New York City, and the dropout rate in a school system designed by and run by liberal Democrats is 50%. The dropout rate, the Hispanic dropout rate is 50%. And somehow, all of this is the fault of conservatives and Republicans. And we got to elect Democrats to stop it. We've got to elect Democrats to make it better. We got to elect Democrats to make it fairer. Oh, wait, we did that. Uh-oh, we did that. Like 6.5 years ago, we did it. We really did that. And uh-oh. Gee, none of it's working.